All right, so we are now taking out the front seat. What you're gonna need to do is move it all the way back. So it is all the way in the back seat. We're gonna take out these two bottom portions. I've already taken out the floor mats, which are over there. Gonna just be undoing these, which doesn't take too much effort. You're gonna need to take these out just because when the seat does come out, it's gonna require these to be gone, otherwise they'll get in the way. Then you're gonna move the seat all the way forward and as far up as possible. Also, we're gonna take out this top part right now. All right, so I am now here at the back of the driver's seat. I've moved the seat all the way forward, all the way up, and then this part a little bit forward as well, the backrest. We're gonna be now taking out the screws from here and here. I've already taken out this one, so we're just gonna be doing this one. So now you can see a little bit of freedom with the seat chair. We're just gonna be taking out the seat belt right over here, which will be for this screw, this bolt. Okay, I've now gotten the screw out from this bit, and just gonna lightly pull this out of the seat, which sometimes can't really be light. There we go. And all right, so now I've gotten the bottom two bolts off, as well as the seat belt, and then also a little wire, which is called an actuator. You're gonna need to take this headpiece off, which when taking off, it seems like you're about to break it. Don't worry, just keep going. Okay, so now that we have this off, the wires are still connected. You're gonna actually wanna pull the seat back a little bit in order to leave a little bit space in the front so that you can lift it forward. There's two little clips on the left and right that you're gonna wanna push forward. And so after I unwire this, that's what we're gonna get to. All right, so the seat is now completely out. Things to look out for, just getting the electrical components off. For my specific car, there were 4 different connections. I know other cars will just have one. For these connections, the plastic is very, very fragile and old, so as you can see, the pieces fell off. But other than that, it's not that bad. You just have to get under it and pull it out with some type of screwdriver. All right, I have now relocated the chair to somewhat of a workstation. We're gonna be needing access to the front bottom side of the chair and some type of support for the bottom, preferably an adjustable bottom piece. For these next steps, we're gonna need a power drill, which I have charging right over here, and some type of metal sander, as well as a lighter, and then screwdrivers and small thin metal objects that we can get it and ply with. All right, so we're now at the back section where we're gonna need to remove this leather to get access to the motor. There's gonna be 2 motors over here. So what you're gonna do, this one is already out over time, but there's gonna be these little metal pieces that are holding the leather down. You're just gonna go in, just bend it slightly upwards. These do bend pretty easily, so not too difficult. And you're just gonna go through, get each one out, pull the leather off, and so we're just going to disconnect all of the wiring. So all 3 of these need to go. Okay, so now to get access to this bottom portion, we're going to need to take this plastic piece off. And so in order to do that, we're going to need to take this bolt off, which I have undone with a hex key, which I think was 15/16 of an inch. There was probably also a millimeter that is designed for this, since this is a European-made car. So I'm just gonna manually take this out now, and then after that, we'll remove this plastic piece, which should come undone, and then we'll get access to this bottom part. All right, so the screw is now finally out. Absolute bitch to get out. So it turns out there's actually a little screw over here. So I'm just gonna use a screwdriver Got it. Gonna loosen that and then take the plastic off. Okay, so for my specific seat, the bottom portion does not have any seat twist. However, the actual backrest has quite a bit of seat twist. And so we're gonna need to actually get access to this front motor rather than the back. The two screws that you're gonna need to take out are right here and right here, and then once those are out, the motor can now rotate upwards and down, and then that allows these two cables to actually come out. Okay, now both of these are now out. One thing I forgot to mention is that you should be wearing gloves, since there is quite a bit of grease that is in these. So what we're gonna do is actually take this metal piece off, and we're going to spin the motor. Okay, so specifically for my seat, and I've now tightened it a bit, but these two were not even. So what the motor does is that it has cables connecting to this side and that side, and so that's the cables that we just took out here. One of them is now connected to a power drill, which I am using to tighten manually. So that controls this side, and so now that I've connected it, when we twist this and give this power, it twists the motors inside and brings that a little bit forward. Okay, so I've now taken the metal piece off using the lighter and pliers. What we're gonna do now is actually just pull this entire thing out of the wiring, and so that goes all the way down there to the actual mechanism itself. When we do pull this out, just be careful at the end, and as always, use gloves since this is really greased up. Now that this is off, we're just gonna cut off a small, tiny bit of this plastic, half an inch, maybe less, or actually less. When we do cut it off, we're gonna do the same thing in reverse. So I'm gonna heat up the metal piece again, put it back onto the plastic, and then put this metal rod back inside of the casing. This takes somewhat decent amount of time. Melted enough. Take this off and do this real quick and slide the plastic into the metal, and you're going to want to slide it basically as much as it will possibly go, and you want to get the plastic into about this line, which I've now done. Just going to insert this. Okay. And so once that's done, now all we need to do is just put it back in. Okay, so that one's lined up. So now I'm gonna push it fully in, just like it was before. And then now we're just gonna push the motor back down, and then using these two screws, we're going to reattach it to the metal piece. These are now all rewired, and now we'll be putting the seat back into the car, and it should be good. All right, here we are in the back seat of the BMW. We need to remove this bottom part of the seat to get to the battery. Getting access is pretty easy. You're just gonna lift it up from right here and it'll come undone. All right, so now's a little more of the challenging portion. So lifting it, you're gonna wanna lift it that way, from away from this part, and you're kinda gonna wanna slide it out a little bit. Right in here, you can see this piece is gonna be connected to the seat still. So this little bar is still connected to the seat, and that's what's keeping it from being able to fully take it out. Okay, so for this section, we're just gonna be using a wrench socket that's 17 millimeters. If you don't have one of these, some BMWs in the back will have this thing that when you undo it, has inside a 17 millimeter wrench that you can also use. All right, so I've now gotten the bottom portion of the seat off, and then it's gonna end up looking like this. So the piece that I was talking about is this right here, and this bolt was screwed down to the base of the car, and so that was what was keeping the seat from not coming out. So just gotta undo that, and then it'll come out right from over here. So now we're gonna be moving on to the battery. Pretty self-explanatory. Just gonna be using 13 millimeter wrenches to get rid of both of these to take off the connections from the battery, and then eventually we're gonna remove it. Okay, so the battery is now out. I'm gonna be replacing it with this one. Some things to note is that this bar, although it was over this at one point, it's actually meant to bend, even though it'll be a little bit difficult at first. And then just under here was a little dirty, so I ended up cleaning it up a bit with the vacuum. Nothing too special down here. A little bit of corrosion. Not sure what's going on there, but pretty still pretty solid sounding, so it's good. I'm gonna be adding the replacement battery now, and should be good. All right, so I've now gone the positive, negative, and then also the latch that holds it down. Everything is screwed in and in place. Gonna be adding the seat back. Basically the opposite process of what I just did. We're gonna be putting this back in to hold the seat in place. And yep. Also, before you do put the seat back on, make sure that the battery does work.
Is there any smoke coming out from the back?
No, none of.
Are you,
Very nice. All the lights seem to be working. Even these, the top ones too.